Welcome to the Happy Black Woman Podcast, where we're on a mission to empower women to transform their lives through personal development and entrepreneurship. We bring you all the information, inspiration, and motivation you need to create a life of happiness, success, and freedom. Now, please welcome your host, the happy Black woman herself, Rosetta Thurman.
Hello and welcome back to the Happy Black Woman Podcast. I just want to thank you guys for listening. We have had so many downloads, thousands of downloads over this past month. And I just want to thank you for listening to the show and sharing it with your friends. And if you haven't taken a moment to do so, I would request that you go to iTunes and find the Happy Black Woman Podcast there and leave a rating or a review so that other women can find our show as well. Thank you again so much for listening to the Happy Black Woman Podcast. Now, today I have a very special guest with me, and her name is Heidi Harris. Heidi Harris is the founder of Curate Your Dreams, and she has such a unique twist on helping people improve their lives. She uses the law of attraction to support her clients and her students. And so we're going to talk so much more about that today. But for now, let's welcome Heidi.
Hello. Thank you, Rosetta, for having me.
Thank you for being here, Heidi. And you guys can find out even more about her and her bio on the website with our show notes and everything. But just to tell you a little bit about why I brought Heidi on, she is one of the women in my inner circle. She's in our Happy Black Woman Mastermind program. So I've had the chance to get to know Heidi pretty well over almost the course of a year that she's been in our program. And what I love about Heidi is that she takes an approach that has helped her in her life, and she is using it to help other people. So I just love that she's doing this. And I'm going to turn the floor over to her to tell you more about herself, because I know how incredible her work is. But Heidi, can you just tell everybody else a little bit about your mission and the work that you do?
Sure, Rosetta. Thank you so much. Well, my mission is to teach people that the law of attraction is real, and properly applied, it can work for them to create the life of their dreams.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, there's so many people that are skeptical about it and all of that, but so many factors come into play. What is your definition of the law of attraction? What's your perspective on it that you share with people?
Okay. Well, essentially, whatever you think about, talk about, fantasize about, or give your attention to, you're going to attract more of it in your life. And that works for negative thinking as well as positive thinking. And I believe that everyone has the God-given powers to change their outcomes.
I love that. Beautiful. Okay, so we're tracking with you. We understand, the concept of law of attraction and all that, but I want to know more about the reason behind this work that you do and why you chose that. Like, tell us a little bit about why law of attraction is so important to you. What did you experience? What was your experience with it in your life? And what made you turn this into a business where you help other people access the power of the law of attraction? Give us a little more insight into your story.
Okay. Well, it all started with experiencing a lot of tragedy in my life. And I know it firsthand, what tragedy and depression looks like. I've lost a lot of family members, a host of other family members and friends. I've lost jobs. I've experienced romantic heartbreak and betrayal many times simultaneously. And I had to figure out a way to get out of my rut and exercise my right to create the life exactly as I wanted it to be. I didn't want it to be as sad as it had been over the course of quite a few years.
Yeah, I know that when we first met, you had all these ideas for how you could share from your experience and help other people because you have overcome a lot. Was there one experience in particular or something that you went through specifically that really got you on this path to using the law of attraction in your own life?
Well, I really have to say it was me losing my last job. And I had to sit back and think about how I wanted to contribute to this world. And I took a good hard look at myself and the things that I wanted to achieve and the life that I wanted to live. And I kind of fell back on the law of attraction, which is something that I had learned about 10 years ago. I was introduced by the book, The Secret. And I fell back on that. And I said to myself that, hey, Heidi, you really, really need to create life exactly the way you want it. And it's not in anyone else's hands.
Mm-hmm. And so what were your steps that you took after that? I mean, I know that, being introduced to an idea is one thing, but to actually implement it and activate it in your life is another. So what were some of the things that you did?
Well, I have to tell you, I did go through a process. And first of all, I caught up on quite a few books and audiobooks. And then I started a process. And the process is actually what I take my clients through. I will list them for you really quickly here. The first thing is I started to look at my life and I wanted to be grateful for the things that I did have. And on top of that, I wanted to make sure that I was grateful for the things that were to come into my life. The things that I wanted, I had to be grateful for them because I just knew and I had to feel emotionally attached to the fact that I was going to receive these things. Also, I did something kind of fun, which was create a vision board. And all I did was take some images off of Google Images and paste them on a board. And I look at them every day. And I kind of absorb the energy from the vision board because each day my subconscious is moving things around and the universe is moving things around for me to obtain these things. Also, I wrote down goals and wishes that I had, things that I wanted to manifest into my life. Another big thing that I've been doing is meditating. We all have a lot of things going on in our head at all times of the day. But what really has helped me is just sitting and taking about 20 minutes each morning and just sitting still and letting your thoughts kind of calm down. And I also find that when you meditate, it's also an opportunity for ideas to pop into your head and even solutions and ideas that you may have had that may have, popped into your mind, but maybe they fleeted. So, and then after that, I actually journal. I journal after I meditate for anything that came up for me. I visualize, I kind of see in my mind the things that I want and how my life should be. Recite affirmations. Each day I tell myself in present tense what I want to feel or achieve. And this is also a fun thing, is I practice random acts of kindness. So I just kind of go around every now and then and do something nice for someone that's not expecting it, either to a stranger or a family member or friend.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love those. All of those are so great for us to think through and think about how to incorporate in our own lives. And I'm so curious, you mentioned that you started out this journey, and similar to me, like when I started on my personal development path, I guess you could say, when I feel like there's this moment where we are awakened from our normal life. Like something happens always to like shake us into, you know what, something's got to change, or I'm ready to go to the next level. I'm tired of my life being like this, or whatever it is. And it's not always negative. It can be positive too. Like, wow, I'm at this certain stage in my life and I want to go, to the next level. So for me, when I got into that point where I was like, I want to transform my life, and I went through a period of transformation, I started looking for resources out there, books and online stuff, courses, events I could go to, all those different kinds of things. What were some of the ones that you first found that introduced you or got you clear about what the law of attraction was all about?
Well, one thing was actually attending your seminar. I think without actually naming it the law of attraction, you definitely have a lot of elements in your seminars, which I attended last year in DC for the first time. That was my first time meeting you. I also picked up some books. The one that I refer to probably the most is called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And that really, really breaks down the law of attraction better than any book that I think I've ever read. And I've also attended some online seminars. Bob Proctor is one that I listen to heavily. I think he just has a wonderful way of explaining all the different elements and nuances of the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm. No, those are great recommendations because a lot of people, they don't know where to start. And especially as Black women, we're not always exposed to these resources, either if it's not in church or if it's not something that your mom told you, your grandma told you, your girlfriend told you, then we don't always know where to look for these resources because they're not like common in our community. Do you find that to be
Exactly.
true?
Absolutely. And that's another reason why I decided to be the law of attraction guru, because before I really got started with my business, I thought, I did kind of like an informal survey among my family and friends. And every time, almost 9 out of 10 of them, when I would ask them, have you ever heard of the law of attraction? They're like, no, what is that? I was like, oh my gosh, there's definitely a need out here to get the word out, because it's really hidden in plain sight for us. But for some reason, there's so many of us who have not been exposed to this information. So definitely most of my friends are, in the Black community. And being that almost all of them I asked had not heard of the law of attraction really shocked me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, that just shows the big gap that's out there and the need that's there to share your experience with other people. What was it that actually made you say, okay, I want to make this into a business?
Actually, because I love to share information.
Mm-hmm.
I love to learn information and I love to share information. And especially if the information can benefit the receiver. And as I learned more about the law of attraction and how it could change my life, I just knew that it could change someone else's life if I were to share the information with someone. And I also knew that it was the perfect marriage with my degree in psychology.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. Beautiful. I love it. It just, what you're doing is such an amazing example. And that's why I am bringing all these women from my inner circle to all of you listening, because I want you to see examples of what it looks like to be able to turn your passion into a business, to turn your purpose into a business, to turn something that has helped you into something that can help other people. So I love what you shared. And, just to give a little more insight into the process that you use for your clients. I know that you gave a few steps that we could take if you were to identify like what's the most important one that our listeners can get started with. Which one would that be? You talked about random acts of kindness and meditation and gratitude and all of that. Which one do you think would be the best for them to start with now if they want to start using the law of attraction in their life?
Okay, well, in my opinion, the one that you can start with is gratitude. Gratitude is probably the one you can start with right now. And it's just so important. It's just so important for you to be grateful for what you already have. And I heard it put this way: when you give someone a gift and they never thank you for it, doesn't that kind of put you off a little bit? You're kind of like, well, no, I don't want to give them a gift anymore.
Right.
Well, the universe is the same way. If you're not thanking the universe for the things that you already have, the universe is not going to be as inclined to provide the things that you want. You have to be thankful for what you have. And with that, you also, again, be thankful for the things that you are going to receive, because it's important to put yourself in the mind frame and the vibration in order to receive the things that you want. So gratitude is the one that I would say. Also, I would like to say that I have a free guide on my website. My website is curateyourdreams.com. And to get to my free guide, you can go to bit.ly/7days-gratitude. And that's the number 7 days gratitude. And you can download my free guide that can kind of help you get started. And also, the guide is a precursor to an upcoming interactive challenge I'm going to be having soon.
Wonderful. I love it. Well, in this process of you turning your passion, your experience into a business, there have probably been things that you've had to incorporate in addition to your law of attraction, or maybe not, that have helped you. So I'm curious to know, what are the things that you do now to stay focused and productive and in alignment with your purpose on a day-to-day basis?
On a day-to-day basis, well, I'm a structure person. So I write my goals and intentions on a goal card, or an index card rather, every day. And I make sure that the processes that I listed, most of them I do absolutely every day, being grateful, writing down my goals, and meditating and visualizing. That is pretty much what I do on a daily basis in order to stay in alignment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. I love it. You mentioned gratitude and taking time for meditation and everything. What is your, I guess, thought on how we should take that time? Because I know that a lot of women who are listening, they're like, okay, this sounds like it could work for me, but how can I incorporate this into my life? How can I make time for these new practices? Like, what do you tell your clients, or how do you help people when they say, you know what, Heidi, I am just trying to maintain my life. How can I incorporate this law of attraction stuff and all the things that you are telling me to do that are different than what I normally do? How do you tell people to incorporate this into their life?
Well, first of all, my client has to make a commitment. They have to make a commitment to wanting to make positive changes in their life. And with meditation, it only takes about maybe 15, 20 minutes. Basically, I just ask them to get up a little bit earlier in the morning and just start your day with that. 15, 20 minutes is, if you're maybe usually listening to the radios, looking on your phone. Instead of doing that, just take those few minutes that you would normally spend doing those things in the morning and just take a moment to meditate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the commitment part, I think, is so important. What you said about, it doesn't come from a place of lack, like, well, I don't have it, because if you make the commitment, then you're committing to find a way to have more time and all of that. And getting up earlier is just a very simple thing that you can do to start incorporating any new change in your life, really, not just meditation or focusing on gratitude or some of the other things that we've talked about today, but any lifestyle change that you want. I mean, just making the commitment and getting up a little earlier, which is what I've been doing lately. I'm on this 10-day detox, and it takes a little while to prep for the green smoothies I have to make in the morning and all that. And it's one small thing, one small change, but it could cause your life to have to shift a little bit. And so it's not impossible, it just requires that commitment that you talked about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I am so interested in learning more about some of the things that you've noticed as you have incorporated the law of attraction into your life and into your business even. Like, can you think of any, I know that you've had so many things going on in your life and you've been traveling and all those things since you started your business, but do you have any moments you could share with us, like those moments where you're like, I can't believe this is happening to me. I can't believe my life is unfolding this way. I know I have those moments pretty often where I'm like, yeah, I wrote that down as one of my things, one of my intentions 6 months ago, and here I am living it. Like, have you had those moments where you're like, the law of attraction is real, like that you just have to say that to yourself?
Okay, well, I will give you one specific example, which let me know without a shadow of a doubt that the law of attraction was working for me. And it was as simple. Well, one of the things that I have always wanted to do is travel a lot. So it was just one random night, and my best friend's son called me to ask me if I had a passport. And I said, yes, I do. And he said, well, I want to surprise my mom on a trip to Barcelona. And all you have to do is pay my rate, because he was a flight attendant, is pay my rate for your flight, and I'll pay for the accommodations, where we stay. And I said, really? He said, yeah. So all you're probably going to have to pay is, this amount of money, which is, of course, if I had planned this trip on my own, I would have had to pay a lot more money than I did. But that was a moment for me, because I had said to myself that I wanted to go on an international trip, which I had never done before. And mind you, I had not talked to my best friend's son in probably a number of months. And then out of the blue, he called me and he said, I want you to come with us on this trip. So that was a golden moment for me, because it was as if a dream had just really just dropped itself on my lap.
Yeah, that is powerful when you experience those moments, because it appears like it just came out of the blue, but really you manifested that. I mean, you attracted that opportunity to you.
Yes, everything is in perfect alignment. Everything.
One of the phrases that I share on our Facebook page often is everything is happening in divine order.
Yes, absolutely.
That is such a comfort for me, and it's something that makes me excited about what's to come, because we don't know. I think the challenge for a lot of people is not knowing when it's going to come, how it's going to show up, and all of that. So they get discouraged. But, the reality is that when you put your intentions out there and you make your desires known, things are moving behind the scenes that you cannot see until you see it.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to know if there are, I know we're winding down for our time together, but I want to know if there are any favorite books that you read. I know you mentioned a few authors that you found when you were first getting into law of attraction and getting started on your journey. But are there any books that you have as favorites that are ones that have inspired you and kept you going on your path?
Absolutely. I think the one that really, really just kind of made me open my eyes even more was Manifest Your Destiny by Wayne Dyer. It's a nice short book, and you can read it in one sitting. And I just really love how he explains how we are all co-creators of our life, and we are all one. We are all connected. And I had never heard it put like that before. And after reading that book, I felt so powerful. I really did feel powerful. And that's why I consider the fact that we all have superpowers. We just have to activate them.
Yeah.
And Wayne Dyer's book really, really helped me understand what I was thinking.
Yeah, that was a big one for me too. I mean, Manifest Your Destiny, it's a pretty old book in terms of like getting it in stores. I think you can get it on Amazon. It's not one of his widely read books as much as his other books, but it is the one for me too that was like, wow, a lot of the things that I had thought, he put it into words about spirituality and how we are not separate from spirit. We are one with that. And so many things were opened up. And I love what you said about you felt powerful, because when we receive empowering information like that, that's how it should make us feel. It should make us feel powerful. It should make us feel like we can do anything. That's when we know that we have been transformed in some way. Our thinking is changed, and what we believe about ourselves is different.
Yes.
I love that. So I want to know, Heidi, because you've been on this journey and you have really done a lot of work to put your passion for this topic into your business, integrating it and putting yourself out there, what is the number one piece of advice you would give for the woman listening who is, just getting started? So she's, maybe 6 months, a year behind you, knowing what you know now, what's the number one piece of advice you would give her?
I do go back to make a commitment to it. You have to make a commitment to it, and you have to consistently work towards your goals. I also, this sounds funny, but I bought a t-shirt about 15 years ago. And the t-shirt says, the highest service you can pay to mankind is to raise your own level of consciousness. So just constantly learn, constantly become aware of who you are, and make a commitment to do that.
I love the idea that focusing on ourselves is not like frivolous, or it's like you're wasting time, or your head's in the clouds, or you're focusing too much on yourself, but it's a gift to the world when we do that, because then we show up as, better human beings, overall, but also having that awareness of who we are. It's a never ending journey. I think a lot of people think, oh, I found myself and now I'm going to be that same person for my whole life. But I think we go through phases and stages, and having that ongoing process is really important. And which is why I love your process, because they're not steps that you take and then you're done. They're
Right.
ongoing. Daily gratitude, meditating daily, and really getting in touch with the desires that you have. It's an ongoing process. So I love that you're doing this, and I love that you're making it available to the people who want to work with you. So speaking of people who want to work with you, Heidi, I know that a lot of ladies will want to, get in touch with you and stay connected. So what's the best way for them to do that?
Okay. You can go to curateyourdreams.com, or you can directly email me at Heidi, HEIDI, at curateyourdreams.com.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you, Heidi, for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom and expertise with us.
Thank you for having me, Rosetta.
It's been a pleasure. Wow, ladies, that was an incredible interview. And I want you to make sure that if you haven't listened to our previous episodes, you do that as soon as possible. We have over 50 amazing conversations with incredible women who are so inspiring. You will not want to stop listening. A lot of ladies binge listen once they start getting into our previous episodes of the podcast. So I encourage you to take some time today or this weekend to go back, listen to our previous episodes at happyblackwoman.com and get caught up and sign up to our email list so that you can get notified of all of our new episodes as well. So thank you for listening. Until next time, have a beautiful day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on the Happy Black Woman podcast. If you want all the show's notes from today's episode, go to happyblackwomanpodcast.com. Plus, we'll send you a copy of Rosetta's free life mapping workbook. We look forward to empowering you next time. And until then, do something this week that makes you happy.